action. That's what I'm all about, Elise.
Are you?
Yeah, I think I'm kind of known as like an action guy. I go,
like always on, like you're always on.
Yeah, but like I'm always like action sequences and stuff. Like I'm always doing like action stuff. Don't you agree? Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah, you're an athletic person for sure.
No, action. Like action
Define
movies.
action.
Explosions, heroic acts, amazing, exciting adventures.
Like that time you chased that mouse out of traffic?
Like the time I chased the mouse out of traffic. Saved a mouse out of traffic.
Sure.
Yeah.
We have been doing a movie night with Kind of Funny for the last, like, I don't know, year and a half?
It's been a while.
It's been, periodically when we can coordinate it. And we watch action movies.
Mm-hmm.
And we've been watching 80s action movies. And we're getting into the 90s now.
Yeah.
Which,
I mean, it's something they've done before. They watched Demolition Man without us, which is one of my favorites. But it predated us, I guess. But yeah, like, so now, I mean, they think the idea is there was just a whole gap of time where Mike didn't watch any movies, really.
Yeah.
So there's a whole chunk, which is probably when I was watching stuff the most.
Sure, yeah.
And so I think that the fun part is showing him these things, and it started with, like, bad 80s action movies.
Bad.
I don't know if I agree with bad. We can get into that a little bit.
I wouldn't say bad.
Because the vibe of this episode is action movies. 90s action movies.
And the 90s, in my opinion, were the height of action movies.
I think that it's tough because I feel like anytime you do Golden Age, Silver Age, you have to define them as different things of value, but I don't know that people necessarily think that the Silver Age of something is worse than the Golden Age of something.
Golden Age goggles where people think that their height was the best time. And
I think it's better than now. It's better than now.
I think also there was obviously an emphasis on the practical. The effects were either very cheesy visual effects that don't hold up.
Yeah.
But things were predominantly practical, and it's cool. Like, we watched Con Air with Kind of Funny last night, and there's just so many practical explosions, crashes. It's incredible.
Yeah.
And you don't really see that. I mean, you see it now, but there was something about that felt messy. Like,
about how it's done now.
Yeah. Or how was that done then?
Oh, yeah.
Messy, you know?
Well, I think it's the opposite. I feel like that's what I love about it is because basically a bunch of people got together before computers and said, if we're going to blow up this mall, we better make sure we know what shots we need. Like, that's the way it was before. They were like, I mean, we got enough explosions to blow this whole city block to hell, so we better figure out why we're blowing it up.
To me now, it's like, let's find this soundstage. It's just a giant warehouse where we could fit a thing, and it'll be very, I don't know. It's kind of like George Miller being like, I'm going to make this explosion, just put 18 cameras on it, and we'll get it.
That's, you're thinking of Ridley Scott.
Oh, did he do that?
Yeah, Ridley Scott was the innovator of filming action with like a bunch of different cameras.
So he's like, okay.
And the studio was like, "You want how many cameras?" And then he was like, "Well, listen, they will only do it once." But no, well, that's what I'm saying. Like, it still feels like now we know there's computers, and I don't know if you saw the thing recently about how a bunch of VFX houses don't want to work, or VFX artists, I'm sure all the houses want to, but don't want to work with Marvel.
Yes.
Because it's such a miserable experience because they're like changing things on the fly in the last minute. And that's the kind of thing you can only do when you have an undo button. Right? And I think it downplays how difficult visual effects in computers are, and the gap of quality when you have a plan and you have a visual effects supervisor there on set, and then when you don't have a plan and you're like, oh, we'll just figure it out in post. But something that I love about the 80s and the 90s is because we had this, like, film-loving attitude.
Yeah. Maybe sorry not to cut you off, but maybe then I didn't mean messy. Maybe I mean it feels more neutered now. Maybe that's what I meant.
Were you talking now? Because I think we're in agreement.
Yeah.
It's better then.
Yeah.
It's worse now.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. Because then you were going to blow up a mall, right?
Sure.
We're going to today's the
blow
day.
Up it, blow
they
it
get a
up.
megaphone, they go,
today's the day we're blowing up the
Yeah, it
mall.
was messy. It was like, let's get in there, let's do it.
Well,
let's use the thing.
Okay, so we disagree. We did disagree.
No,
again.
but now it's like it's very neutered and calculated, and it doesn't feel like they're doing the real. You can tell it's staged, and it feels like this is just a set piece they put together for the movie.
I think we're for sure agreeing, but in the complete opposite different way, and I think it's really funny about our definition of messy and controlled or whatever. Because the thing that I love that we talk about a lot in action movies is that someone fueled by cocaine came up with a crazy premise. But they knew it was going to be entertaining. Some sort of wild cocaine-fueled idea. And let me put this out here. Anyone can come up with an idea. Anyone can come up with an idea. But then what they would do is they would hand that idea off to some poor screenwriter who probably had experience writing actual films and said, we need you to figure out how you can get this plane full of prisoners to be an entertaining concept, and it has to last an hour and 15
Con
minutes.
Air. What? Just brilliant. Brilliant. And so entertaining.
Yeah, it's great. But that's what I loved about the 90s is that you have these high concept things. This is before... Originals, before IPs were the primary value of everything. And you would basically have to make someone reverse engineer how to make it all work. And the only way they'd sign off on it is if they were like, okay, there's something here, which means you probably have a script. Or at the very least, you have like a storyboard presentation thing. But now in the world we live in, where IPs are the most valuable thing, they just say, we're going to make a movie because it's a known property.
Like, let's look at some of these best action movies.
Okay, so we got 90s. A list here from movieweb.com.
And like exactly to what you're saying, Demolition Man, original premise, sci-fi.
Cop. So basically someone said, what if a cop from the 90s in his hard-ass 90s style woke up in a future that was neutered? What happens, right? Like, I mean, that's basically it. And someone did a line, and then he said, get the writer of some sort of other, like, one-act play that just went off Broadway to get me a script.
And the villain's name is Simon Phoenix.
It's all great.
It's the best names ever.
I think that character naming is something that's really fallen off a cliff in modern filmmaking.
Heat's a little bit different. I wouldn't necessarily. I think Heat's an incredible movie. I don't necessarily group it in with this type of action movie.
Yeah,
but definitely
it's an extension of the crime genre. I would say it's the culmination of the coke-fueled, action-desiring 90s era. But someone just made a legit, amazing crime drama.
Yeah, The Rock, Michael Bay.
What if they had to get into Alcatraz?
We've only seen people escape Alcatraz.
Yeah, that's what happened. I'm telling you, someone was in a meeting somewhere, and they said, well, what about an escape from Alcatraz? And then some guy went, what if they have to escape into Alcatraz? And everyone in the room started shaking hands.
Yeah.
Shaking hands.
And you've got Nicolas Cage.
Mm-hmm.
Coppola.
Yeah.
Really. And then you've got Sean Connery.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. They were like, we need a legit action lead. Sean Connery.
Older Sean Connery.
We'll bring him back in. Yeah. I mean, he had been doing like Hunt for Red October.
Sure, yeah.
He was still very much in that thing, but like he came in and then they said, what about this Nick Cage guy? So incredible stuff.
Michael Bay really perfecting the like duo.
That was his second feature. You think about that? His second feature?
Yeah.
We can shit on Michael Bay all you want to. I disagree. I'll defend Michael Bay to the day I die.
Speed. Speed is an amazing movie. Okay?
Someone just did Speed. Some studio executive is like, where have you been? He was like, Speed in the bathroom. And then and then someone went, Speed. Oh no, I did Speed on the bus. Right? He took the bus to the studio.
I had to take the bus because I wanted to take Speed.
Yeah.
It's just like, again, it's a premise where it's like, let's take a premise and twist it.
What if the bus couldn't stop?
Everything was what if.
Yeah.
Right? It was what if blank is blank, then what if B, what if A is blank, then B is blank.
And listen, I'm not a Marvel hater. And I'm also not a Fast and Furious hater. I definitely enjoy those movies, but I think that none of them start with what if statements, with the exception of the What If show by Marvel. None of them start with what if, generally. Some of them do, but most of them aren't. Fast and Furious isn't... the first one was what if Point Break but cars.
Yeah.
Right? Which at the very least is something. But the rest of them don't really have what if statements.
Well, what if heart can't slow down, heart explode if man stop moving?
Crank is a great example. Crank is is an amazing what if movie.
Which to me isn't like in the caliber of these movies, but it's still attempted that what if swing.
Yeah.
Marvel a lot of the time asks the same question, which is what if hero discover have powers or gain powers and then become fish out of water in a new world where presented with
which they haven't even made
conflict,
one of those in a really long time.
What if, you know...
Marvel is like, what if a cameo showed up?
Yeah.
Is like a lot of their stuff now.
Face Off.
What if the good guy and the bad guy changed faces?
Yeah. And
it's an amazing movie. And they also got these amazing directors who were also probably fueled by cocaine. I don't know about John Woo, but maybe. That they'd come up with this, they'd give the script off to someone, and then they would go, all right, now let's find a director who's crazy enough to make this, but make it as though it's the greatest thing they've ever tried to make.
Yeah.
We watched Con Air last night, and the fact that if you don't know anything about making movies, the fact that there are so many shots that are dolly push-ins with so much going on, dolly push-ins onto one character to say one line, that could be like 3 hours to get that shot.
Every line is a one-liner.
Yeah.
And they introduce new cons halfway through the movie.
Yeah, convicts.
Yeah. It was what a blast. What a fun movie.
Yeah.
What a fun movie.
It's just great.
I mean,
Terminator 2, Judgment Day.
One of the best action movies
I agree.
ever made. I mean, James Cameron, no stranger to the genre. Aliens also.
And what if? I'm listening to Arnold's autobiography. When he met with James Cameron, he said, I want to do a sequel. And then Arnold said, why? The first one was so great. It was a huge hit.
Why?
And James Cameron goes, what if you were the good guy? That's how he pitched it to him.
Well, also, I think Arnold probably on a career trajectory was like, well, I want to be the hero. I don't want to play a bad guy. Why would I want to play a bad guy? I'm trying to be a leading man in Hollywood, you know? And James Cameron...
They had that conversation, though, too, because Arnold was originally supposed to play Michael Bihn's character in the original Terminator. Oh. And so James Cameron was like, how do you feel about playing Kyle Reese? And because he was doing his good guy thing, and then at a certain point, Arnold was telling him about how he imagined the sequences would go down. He's like, well, if I'm Kyle Reese and like the Terminator's coming into the room, he should come in and he's doing like the stuff. And then James Cameron was like, it sounds like you're way more in line with the Terminator character. Yeah. It's like, what if you do that? And he was like, I wasn't sure if I wanted to play a bad guy because he was trying to become a leading man.
Yes. And that's what I always assumed too. Yeah. Like Terminator 2, the switch, it's part of his trajectory, right?
Yeah.
Of like, how can I be the hero? And but yeah, T2 is like endlessly rewatchable. The action holds up to this day. The effects kind of feel a bit dated, but not to the point where they feel super cheesy.
It feels dated, but it's also one of those things where it's like the first time to do it.
Yeah.
Like things are allowed to feel dated if they were the pioneering elements of it.
It feels dated, but it also doesn't really feel out of place in the time of the movie in a weird way.
Like when Forrest Gump meets JFK.
Yeah.
You see it now and you go, little dated, but he was the first one to meet JFK.
Yeah.
Remember?
Yeah.
I think he's got to go pee.
Remember that. And like it's so many iconic lines in that movie, and just like James Cameron, like say what you will about him, but like just making like iconic female characters.
Mm-hmm. He's a master. He's for sure a master. Mm-hmm. True Lies. I don't see True Lies on this list, but if we're discussing it, what if Super Spy never told his wife that, like, what if he had to live the double life of a regular, boring guy but he's actually a super spy.
Which I think is a premise that predated True Lies.
Oh, for sure.
But True Lies was like, what if it's an action? Like,
yeah.
You know,
Jimmy Stewart was the original in the original True Lies.
I gotta go out and kill a terrorist.
And then of course, like Mr. and Mrs. Smith, it was like, what if we double that premise?
Yeah.
The Matrix, I don't really consider The Matrix as much in the realm of these movies because it's late 90s. And it always felt more sci-fi to me than action, albeit having major action set pieces.
Oh, and listen, we both know The Matrix is amazing. But the thing about The Matrix is it ended this era.
Yeah.
It ended it.
It gave such a legitimacy to the filmmaking of this genre that there were lots of movies that felt so cheesy by comparison that you couldn't make other movies. But
it was high concept, right?
Yeah.
Which all these other movies generally are high concept. But it was supreme, like above and beyond heady concept, and people were like, wait a minute. We also, for the record, want to acknowledge we're just mostly talking about Western film.
Oh yeah.
You know, there's we wouldn't even get into it, and I'm honestly not as informed as I probably should be about the quality of Asian cinema that is pretty just absolutely stellar.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah.
This one list has Tombstone on it, which I'm not going to argue with you.
Yes,
but
it's not in the genre that I think we're discussing of how great these.
What year did Lethal Weapon 2 come out?
That would still be the 80s, right? Wouldn't that be like
yeah,
86, 87?
89. So 89, so it's on the precipice of this, which I love Lethal Weapon 2. It's a great movie.
Mm-hmm.
We're probably going to watch that with Kind of Funny at some point. I bring it up a lot.
Yeah.
Again, we always talk about how like Lethal Weapon 1 kind of like set a standard for what the buddy cop movie in a sense, and it also but was like not as fun as Lethal Weapon 2. Lethal Weapon 2 feels a lot more fun.
Yeah. But again, I think the heart of it is that most movies are made differently now. Number one, they're chosen on probably algorithmic basis, right? I'm sure things get live or die based off how the algorithm of VODs or whatever treats these things, as opposed to the fact that someone comes into the room with a treatment for something that's just bonkers, right? And there has to be someone there to read that treatment and say, this is bonkers, but I can see it as a movie. That's not a criteria really anymore. And then so basically someone says, oh, well, we know it's going to be a Captain Canuck movie because people are aware of what Captain Canuck is. Yeah. So thusly, it has value somewhere, and it has more value than something
some degree of recognition.
Yeah, and even though it's Captain Canuck.
Yeah.
And so they go, okay, great, and then they immediately start working on the process backwards.
Yeah.
Where they say, we know, let's just start a production date. We don't have a script. Don't worry about it. Like, it's Captain Canuck.
Instead of an inventive premise. Yeah, you're absolutely right.
So
it's no Rumble in the Bronx.
The Starship Troopers is on this list as well, but I don't know that we.
Yeah.
But the other thing is, you look at the directors who made some of this garbage, and they're like basically auteurs, like they're like genius level stuff, talking about all the people that go into making these things. Like, there's a reason that these filmmakers endure over time. It's because they really put their heart and soul into the process of making you want something to blow up really bad. It's an emotional manipulation, and I love it.
The Crow.
Yeah.
Independence Day also doesn't necessarily fall in this category for me.
That's disaster film type thing, for sure. Disaster film. But, you're looking
Bad
at
Boys.
Yeah. There's
Die Hard 2. You had a little quiz.
I don't know the quality of it, but I found a quiz that it's 10 questions about action movies that I feel like we should probably get everything wrong based off the first question. Do you want to do the quiz?
Sure. the height of Tommy Lee Jones's career happened during the 90s. In which of these action films did he not make an appearance? Is it Mission Impossible?
So the options are Fugitive, Mission Impossible, Under Siege, and Blown Away. He's definitely in everyone except for Mission Impossible.
Okay.
Yeah.
No problem.
Next question. How many Die Hard films did action superstar Bruce Willis star in during the 90s?
2?
That's
Die Hard 2 and
Die
3?
Hard 3?
Right?
I think so.
Maybe 2?
Yes, correct. Nice job.
Which superstar actor? Oh, Air Force One. Okay, it's Harrison
Well, you got to
Ford.
read the question.
Well,
they can't see it.
It's just it's
You have to read the
insulting.
question.
It's insulting to everyone's
I know, but
intelligence.
you get if they.
Superstar actor that was the president on the Air Force One while fighting terrorists, tried to take over the plane.
We'll say it at the same time. 1, 2, 3.
Sylvester Stallone. Choose Harrison Ford. All right. Which famous action movie director had his first big break when he directed Bad Boys movie? Is
Michael Bay, Jerry Bruckheimer, Luc Besson, Brian De Palma.
Is it De Palma? I actually don't know
Bad Boys?
so well.
Michael Bay,
It's
baby.
Michael Bay? Okay.
Michael
yeah,
Bay
it is Michael.
used some of his own paycheck for the film Bad Boys to make the explosion at the end of the movie bigger. They said they didn't have money in the budget. He said, "Take it out of my paycheck." That's how much the man is committed to explosions. You're not going to see that today.
Look, I've bought my own mustaches at Funhouse.
You think the
before.
Russo brothers are going to say, "We want that explosion bigger. Take 50 from me, 50 from him"?
The Rusties? No, I
The
don't.
Rusties. One of the best things about 90s action films was the number of superstars that appeared in them. Which of the following action film actors starred in the Lethal Weapon franchise?
Don't insult our intelligence.
I was thinking which one didn't, and I was like,
That's
wait a
what I
minute.
thought,
Patrick
too.
Swayze, Tommy Lee Jones, none of these. Mel Gibson was the only
Yeah.
one to be in this.
First, use your fingerprints to
Don't worry about that.
Oh, what's happening?
It's audio detect. It's terrible.
What was the name of the action movie where Kurt Russell and William Baldwin played firefighting brothers? It was the only time these men ever worked together. Like they had some kind of grudge. Well, it's not Point Break. It's not Demolition Man. It's not Total Recall, which means
Got to be Backdraft.
Backdraft.
Shout out to Charlotte, wherever she is.
watching Backdraft probably.
The best thing about Backdraft is that it's a movie called Backdraft, and the whole term they're like, whatever you do, watch out for the backdraft. And then when the backdraft happens, they're like, that's a backdraft.
Oh, yeah. It was also so momentous. Can we pause here and say it was so momentous in these movies?
Oh, yeah.
When you would say the title of the movie.
Come on.
Right?
Yes.
Like
Give me a
Con
break.
Air last night we were watching it, and
Yeah.
welcome to Con Air.
Yeah.
Like I bet in the theater everyone cheered, oh no, is that the Terminator? No, it's the Terminator 2.
Yeah, or, oh, what am I supposed to do? I'm going to die hard with a vengeance. Remember when he says that?
Yeah.
He has to wear that sign on his chest in
Or-
Harlem, and he goes, I'm die hard with a
Yeah.
vengeance here.
This bus has speed.
The word speed must be used at least once in Speed, right? Do we think anyone says speed in the movie Speed?
Well, they definitely say stuff like that. We can't slow down.
Yeah, but do they say the word speed in Speed? There's not a moment where he's like, speed! There should
I
be.
don't know. Do they say the word speed and speed?
They must,
I don't know.
right? If it's speed, they must say at some point, if it's speed goes below this, they must
You
say
guys-
speed.
Yeah, you guys speed up maybe. Like, but it's
Speed
like
up!
when I think of speed, I don't think of people saying the word speed.
No. But that,
Bus
but
is
the
going
thing
at
is,
high speeds.
Speed is a minimalist title, right? It's not a title that's completely described. It's the minimalist
it's the most
breakdown.
reductive
right?
thing you could.
That's what's amazing about it. But so it would make sense for them to say speed in a big thing because it's not or anything, right? I don't think anyone says Point Break in Point Break.
I'm reaching my point that I'm gonna break.
Does that count? I don't think that counts if they say that. They have to
Uh,
say it. All right, Backdraft.
He's Johnny Mnemonic.
They probably do call him
they
Johnny
probably
Mnemonic
do
in that.
say that. Which
Oh, here we
90s
go.
action film starred Keanu Reeves and Patrick Swayze. Okay, well, come
Mission
on.
Impossible,
Point-
Bad Boys, Connor,
It's
Point
Point
Break.
Break. What animal did Neo see while he experienced an episode of Deja Vu in The Matrix?
Spoon.
Well,
A dog, rabbit, squirrel, a cat.
it's the rabbit, right?
No, it's a cat.
Is it a cat?
But it's a that's specifically when he experienced deja vu, but he technically, if Trinity was there, she's the White Rabbit in some ways.
Maybe that's what I'm thinking of.
But it was a cat that he saw meowing over in the corner, down at the bottom of the stairs.
Which
or whatever.
Chinese action movie was able to turn a vampire hunting daywalker named Blade? Oh, the Star turned into a mask. I was like,
I read it the same way you read it too.
Like Blade turned Blade into Blade. It's not Steven Seagal. It's not Donald Schwarzenegger.
Yes, I'm going to bite you. I don't want to, but I have to bite you.
It isn't.
Whistler! Whistler, no.
It's not
Wesley
Bruce Willis.
Snipes.
Wesley Snoops. He snooped his way to the box office.
Mm-hmm. Last
90s
one.
action film starred Sean Connery, Nicolas Cage, as they attempt to stop a madman from unleashing deadly chemical weapons. San Francisco.
Here, hold on. I take umbrage with this. Ed Harris does not portray a madman in this film. Ed Harris is a jilted officer. He was demoralized by what happened to his men and the inaction that his government took when their lives were what was at cost. And I don't believe he had any intention of firing those weapons.
You don't think?
If you watch the film, his intentions are pretty clear. He seems to be threatening things with the threat of violence, but I don't think he, a American patriot, was going to fire those weapons on those people. I disagree with that statement.
We cannot answer this question. Who was it that was the person that turned on Ed Harris in that movie?
The guy who turned on him is, as far as I don't know who he is. If I recall, check me on this. There's 4 guys left at the end.
Yeah,
there's
4,
Ed Harris and the other guy who plays the dad in Milk Money. No, that is Ed Harris. It's the other guy who you see in a lot of stuff
shit, I didn't mean to make
that I don't remember what his name is, but if you see him, you recognize him, and you're like, oh yeah, there's that guy. He's the other soldier. Oh, David Morse. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
He's the other soldier, but when Ed Harris decides he doesn't want to do it, he backs him.
Yeah.
And it's the other 2 younger guys.
Yeah.
Who actually, maybe I do know the other guy. Oh yeah, Bokeem Woodbine.
Yep.
He does not go along with Ed Harris, and then another guy who maybe it's Gregory Sporleader, Captain
Fry.
Maybe. I think it's him. Those 2 are the ones who are like, "What are you talking about? We're gonna get that money," and then they try and fire the thing. So
it was always like the take was always we're gonna get a bunch of money.
Well, yeah.
Right.
Well, they made it appear like they were terrorists. Oh no, maybe I'm thinking of Tony Todd. I might be thinking of Tony Todd. But yeah. So basically, he's bluffing. He's bluffing. Ed Harris would never do that. You kidding me? You're telling me that Brigadier General, what's his name? We don't.
Oh, you scroll over it, hover over it.
Brigadier General Francis X. Hummel, USMC, would do that? No, I don't think he would. Okay.
They just don't make them like this anymore. You know?
Mm-hmm.
What could change? What needs to happen?
We need
for
to
this
start writing
happen?
scripts again.
Premises, log lines.
Log lines. We need to start working on movies in the order in which they are intended to be made to highest quality.
You're right. The search for the IP has bypassed the log line.
And listen, we're very lucky. We're getting some of the best film interpretations of IP stuff that we ever had, but we are sacrificing the legit awesome stuff. These amazing things. You know why Con Air's great? When it's over, it's done. Doesn't leave anything else on the table.
We don't even get like another scene with him and his family. Like, are they settled now? Are they happy somewhere? No.
We find more about Steve Buscemi's character, Garland Green, than we do about any of them.
Give us the Garland Green sequel.
Someone probably pitched that.
25 years, or no, not 25 years later. 40 years later.
Cruise Con.
Give us the Garland Green. What's he been doing this
Con.
time?
It's the biggest gathering of criminals of all time, all in one convention center. Con. Anyway, I just think there's something that's missing in the process. We're getting stuff that is made incredibly. We need to utilize the visual effects that we get with computers, the things that we can achieve with computers. When you look at something like the Mandalorian and it's filmed on these sets and it feels so real, utilize that, but don't make it be the only tool. Blow shit up too.
Blow shit up.
Imagine if we could have a mall that was gonna blow up. Right? Back to our original discussion. We're blowing up the mall today. How much thought and effort you had to put into it, and now think about the fact that you could have 14 malls with the power of computers. Christopher Nolan actually is a pretty good job of still being a from A to B to C action film director. And you can see that, how the thought and the effort that goes into it. But I think that broadly, we're skipping a step. We're jumping too far ahead. And it's not working out.
Action movies.
90s action movies. What did we miss?
That was the vibe.
What did we not discuss?
Yeah.
Let us know in the comments. And that's our vibe.
That's the
Vibe got
vibe.
heated. It was not a chill vibe this week.
No, but you can go back and you can listen to some of our previous vibes, which maybe are a little chiller.
Yeah.
Than this one.
Chill. She's much chiller. I'll get worked up. You know I get worked up. But I'll be sleeping well tonight.
Thank you so much, Necro Meowser. Please watch Cobra. It's amazing now. I used to have a Cobra poster.
I did. I had a DVD that was a 2-pack. It was Cobra and Tango and Cash. And I think I found it in a bin for $5. And at the time, it was the most I felt like I saved on something. Like, I was like, I couldn't believe that I paid $5 for that. So, but yeah.
We need to really digitize a bunch of our old movies. Mm-hmm. Get rid of that.
All the plastic
digital
cases.
Waste, yeah.
I was on a big kick when I was in my late teens and early 20s about collecting used DVDs, and I regret none of it, but I regret all of it too.
I have a lot of these too. Cash_bone. Absolutely loving these weekly Willems vibes. Thank you so much. It's fun. It's like a fun thing to try to like sit down. What's in your headspace on any given day or time.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. But thanks for hanging out. We still need to finish playing Madison.
Yeah.
We're gonna do that. We're gonna do that at some point. We've been a little busy in the evenings. But yeah, hopefully soon we'll get another one on the books. And then there's another thing I want to do. I really want to talk to you guys about Arcadegeddon.
Oh yeah.
And kind of that process, because that was really fun for us too. But yeah, thank you all for watching. This was our vibe for the week, and we'll see you next time. Bye.